It was past midnight when she knocked. Not loudly, not desperately, just enough to be heard by someone who was still awake. Rashid almost ignored it. The office building had strict rules. No visitors after hours. No exceptions. Especially not strangers. But something about that knock didn't feel like trouble. It felt tired. He stood up from his chair slowly, hesitation pulling at him from one side, instinct from the other. When he opened the door, she didn't speak immediately. Her face carried the kind of silence that only comes after too much fear. Her clothes were neat, but not untouched. Like someone who had been running but didn't want the world to notice. "I just need one night," she said quietly. "By morning, I'll be gone." Rashid frowned. "You can't stay here. This is a corporate office. There are cameras everywhere." "I know," she replied. "That's why I chose this place." That answer didn't make sense. But somehow, it felt honest. He looked behind her. The street was empty, but not peaceful. The kind of empty that feels watched. "I won't cause trouble," she added. "I just need a place where they won't expect me." "They?" Rashid asked. She shook her head. "Please, don't ask." That should have been enough for him to say no. But Rashid had learned something the hard way. Sometimes the people who ask the least are the ones who need the most. He stepped aside. "Only till morning," he said. She nodded, stepping in like someone entering safety for the first time in hours. Rashid didn't ask her name, and she didn't offer it. He gave her a chair near his desk, turned off one of the brighter lights, and pretended to go back to his routine. But his attention stayed on her. She wasn't resting. She was listening. Every small sound made her glance up. Every passing vehicle outside made her shoulders tense. After a while, he spoke again. "You're not safe, are you?" She let out a quiet breath. "No." "Then why not go to the police?" That made her smile, but it wasn't relief. It was something closer to disappointment. Because they already know. Rashid felt something shift in his chest. "Know what?" She looked at him this time, really looked at him, as if measuring whether he was worth the truth. "They control everything," she said softly. "Even the people who are supposed to protect us." Silence settled between them. Rashid wanted to ask more, but something told him the answers wouldn't make things easier. A car passed slowly outside. Its headlights brushed across the glass doors, then disappeared. She flinched. Rashid stood up and walked toward the CCTV monitor. Everything looked normal. Too normal. "You're safe here," he said, though he wasn't sure if that was true. She reached into her bag and held it tightly, like it carried more than just belongings. "If anything happens," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "don't trust anyone who comes looking official." "That's not very helpful," Rashid replied. "It's the only truth I have left." Hours passed slowly. At some point, exhaustion caught up to her, and she leaned back, eyes closing for just a moment. But even in rest, her hand never left the bag. Rashid watched her and thought about something he hadn't allowed himself to remember in years. A different night. A different knock. Someone else asking for help. And how he had chosen rules over kindness. By morning, that person was gone. He never found out what happened to them. But he never forgot the feeling either. Regret doesn't shout. It waits quietly. Tonight felt like a second chance. Around 3 a.m., his phone buzzed. An unknown number. He ignored it. It buzzed again. Then stopped. A few minutes later, a black car slowed down outside the building. Rashid's heartbeat picked up. The car didn't stop completely. Just paused long enough to confirm something. Then drove away. He turned back toward her. She was awake again. "They found me," she said. "No one came in. They don't need to." "Not yet." Rashid swallowed. "What's in the bag?" She hesitated, then said something that made everything heavier. Proof. Of what? She looked down, then back at him. Of people who think they'll never be exposed. Rashid felt a chill. Before he could respond, she leaned forward slightly. If I don't make it till morning, she said, her voice steady now, you need to promise me something. He didn't like where this was going. Promise me you'll open this bag, she continued, placing it on the table, and you'll make sure the truth gets out. Rashid stared at the bag, then at her. This is bigger than me, he said. She nodded. I know. Why trust me? Because you opened the door. That answer stayed with him. Not because it was logical, but because it was true. Morning didn't bring relief. It brought uniforms. 2 police vehicles arrived just after sunrise. Rashid felt it before he saw it, the shift in the air, the kind that turns quiet into pressure. She noticed it too. They're here, she said, standing up. Stay here, Rashid replied, though his voice lacked confidence. The front door opened before he could reach it. They didn't knock this time. 4 officers walked in, followed by a man whose presence filled the room without effort. The police chief. Rashid had seen him on TV, calm, respected, untouchable. Good morning, the chief said, his tone smooth. We're looking for someone. Rashid forced himself to stay steady. This is a private office, and we have authority, the chief replied, smiling slightly. His eyes scanned the room. They stopped for a fraction of a second where she had been sitting, but she wasn't there anymore. Rashid's heart skipped. Have you seen a woman? The chief asked. Rashid hesitated just long enough to be noticed. The chief stepped closer. You don't need to worry, he said quietly. We're here to help her. Something about the way he said help didn't feel right. Rashid remembered her words. Don't trust anyone who comes looking official. I haven't seen anyone, Rashid replied. The chief studied him for a moment, then nodded. All right, he said. If you do, inform us immediately. As they turned to leave, the chief paused. One more thing, he added, glancing back. Sometimes getting involved in things you don't understand can be dangerous. The message was clear. When they left, the silence felt heavier than before. Rashid rushed to the back hallway. She was gone. No note, no sound. Just absence. But the bag was still there, sitting exactly where she had left it. For a long moment, he didn't move. This was the moment that defines people. Not when it's easy, but when it's risky. Rashid slowly walked back, eyes fixed on the bag. His hands hesitated, then opened it. Inside were documents, a flash drive, and printed records. Names, transactions, photographs, and at the center of it all, the police chief, alongside executives from Rashid's own company. Illegal deals, bribes, disappearances covered as accidents. His workplace wasn't just cold. It was corrupt. Rashid felt something break, not fear, but illusion. Everything he thought was stable wasn't. His first instinct was to close the bag and walk away. Forget everything. Stay safe. But then he remembered her face. The way she asked for nothing except one night. Kindness isn't tested when it's comfortable. It's tested when it costs you something. Rashid took the flash drive. His hands were steady now, not because he wasn't afraid, but because he had already decided. Hours later, the news exploded. Breaking. Police chief under investigation. Leaked documents reveal massive corruption network. The story spread faster than anyone could contain. Anonymous sources. Unverified leaks. But undeniable evidence. By evening, the chief was no longer untouchable. He was exposed. Arrests followed. Executives disappeared from their offices. Phones went silent. And just like that, the system that seemed unbreakable cracked. Rashid sat alone that night. Same desk, same chair. But everything felt different. No one knew what he had done. No applause. No recognition. Just silence. But this time, it wasn't regret. A small envelope appeared near the door the next morning. No name, just a single line inside. You didn't just help me. You made sure it mattered. Rashid folded the paper carefully. He never saw her again, but he didn't need to. Some people don't stay in your life. They change it and leave. And sometimes the biggest secrets don't get exposed by power. They get exposed by one quiet act of kindness from someone no one was watching.